All right, let's not talk about this anymore. It's almost been 2 months later. Let's go down the list of all the E3 predictions that we made and how we did, and then make our final thoughts about it. All right, which on the list? Let's start with Microsoft. We said re-emphasizing price drop gold changes. They kind of mentioned it, but there was more kind of a general statement. We said there's going to be Minecraft Xbox One edition. They didn't really mention it at all, actually.
No, they did not.
Project Spark was a big thing.
Because with Conquer.
Yeah, we know that. Forza Horizon 2 was announced.
Yes, it was.
Sunset Overdrive was there.
Yep.
Quantum Break wasn't.
And that's going to be at Gamescom, I believe.
That's going to be, which is in like 3 weeks.
Well, people are also concerning about the fact that Microsoft has now got rid of its publication, its production.
I don't think it has any impact to that, though it might have changed the focus of the game quite a bit. We have here Fable Legends, which was there, full demo was there.
Mm-hmm.
Killer Instinct Season 2 was mentioned, and they are constantly
showing trailers
and stuff. Halo 5 Guardians was in fact,
it was announced. It wasn't really shown.
It was like a teaser of it.
Brief teaser.
The Halo Master Chief Collection, as I said, Halo
Confirmed.
2 Anniversary 3 and 4 upports, which is true.
Confirmed. Yeah.
Call of Duty demo, that went through. Project Nagano, which was a Platinum Games title, made it through.
Yep.
Of course, it was called Scalebound, but multiple Japanese exclusives. Now, this is one that I didn't really think came out. I said D4 would be shown and other Japanese exclusives. There was kind of some kind of exclusives in there, but
wasn't there was that one game by Grasshopper? Was that?
Oh yeah, that was PlayStation 4. So there wasn't really any Japanese exclusives.
You're right. It was pretty much basically just.
Yeah. Then we also had more third-party exclusive deals.
I think there was not as many as they usually do.
Not as many as expected, honestly, which is interesting. But they're also just constantly announcing things. They didn't want to focus on the deals that were exclusives and whatnot. But they did mention all the things that kept on saying Xbox One is getting this first, or DLC is coming first to Xbox.
That content exclusive debut console.
Then we had an Xbox streaming service that actually did not happen.
Nope, it did not.
Which is for a good thing, I guess, because I thought that would be just all over the place.
It's not like PlayStation.
I think that it's still too early for them to do a streaming service because PlayStation Now is not even out yet.
Yeah.
So probably in the next couple of years. Then time dedicated to Kinect and OS are minimal, less than 10 minutes.
Practically, it was not even there.
It was practically non-existent.
I think that's a big hit against Microsoft. People say Kinect's a bad thing. The fact is, there's a year's worth of people who have bought in the Xbox One who have Kinects, and now there's absolutely nothing for it.
Well, actually, not even. There's been 6 months of people. But interesting the fact that Kinect was so heavily focused on the system as being this means microphone communication.
In fact, they still advertise commercials.
Yeah. So what exactly are they trying to sell at by not having games coming out for it? They're just literally saying, don't buy Kinect. If you can avoid it, please do. Which does a disservice.
Well, they want them to buy the console and the games. The Kinect is just icing on the cake to them.
Yeah. They will try to have an indie block. That was correct. They had a trailer, a kind of a montage, which showed off quite a few interesting games. But I think they could have had even more emphasis on being here's the trailer of all the games.
Well, it was nice to actually talk about it, as opposed to last year where they said, "Oh, Minecraft's indie, right?"
Yeah. Then they said that maybe I was thinking one or more 360 price drops. That didn't happen.
There was more bundle stuff for
Titanfall.
the Xbox.
There was no Titanfall discussion, and there was no Gears of War teaser as we maybe hoped for. Now for the theme, it was called Game On. It was about games, and that was right. It was all about games. And then there comes the big guesses. My big guess was a new Phantom Dust, which was correct.
Yeah,
because of there was substantial evidence that they were making a Phantom Dust, and so that was the case. Meanwhile, you had a Gears of War collection.
I was thinking, because we had the Halo collection. I was thinking they were going to follow it up with the Gears of War. That might be next year, but again, didn't happen.
Also, you were also thinking of Xbox 360 backwards compatibility.
It was something on the table with the fact that PlayStation Now is something, and they wanted to get people to buy the Xbox One. But I think that with the Halo Anniversary collection, the Master Chief collection,
I think
there's not. Why would you do it?
Yeah, there's no reason.
Those are the games they want. That's why I'm still thinking that there's going to be a Gears of War collection. Eventually.
Yeah, and so overall that was a pretty solid conference. Biggest problem is that the second half of the conference was weaker because it didn't have a lot of content in terms of actual gameplay.
But they did a much better job than last year. They did just talk about games. But the negative is they did kind of just back up on everything they talked about last year.
So then anyway, then comes Sony. Sony we're skipping all the big third parties. Is that we didn't predict those really, except at the very end. So first, The Order 1886
Was there?
That was there. It was a
It wasn't
brief
really.
game.
It wasn't really like a gameplay trailer. I think it was just more of a experience trailer.
Yeah, I'm concerned that the game they're not really trying to show enough of the game, considering it comes out like in February.
Well,
yeah. So then we got Drive Club, which was there. It wasn't really shown on the conference, but it was there. The Last of Us Remastered was there.
It was here's a trailer for it, and again, everyone's really hyped for it.
Yep.
I'm still kind of miffed that it's a year later and it's coming out.
It's got a large indie block. I thought there'd be 5 to 10 minutes dedicated to it. The bingo card was about 10 minutes. I think it was around 6 minutes or so.
I think Sony kind of was much weaker this year with the indies than last year. Last year they made it front and center. We're going to announce this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. This year we have this publisher who brings some games on the platform, and here's a bunch of logos, and now let's move forward. And that's where I felt was like Sony was like, yeah, we got indies, now let's move forward. Like, well, can't we just talk about them a little bit?
I mean, I know that No Man's Sky was a big thing.
Well, that is because it's just a massive
yeah,
game.
it's kind of like saying, oh, we got Braid, or like The Witness, which wasn't even there.
Yeah. For me, that game was the game for Sony was No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky and Destiny, of course. So then we have I thought Rime and Shadow of the Beast would be there, but neither were. They were both announced last Gamescom, so they're probably going to be at this Gamescom, probably because there was more European developed than American developed. And then you got I thought there was going to be a Minecraft PlayStation Edition mentioned. There was.
They mentioned that you can transfer your Xbox 360 stuff over to.
No, I don't think they mentioned that specifically. I think it was more they mentioned it passing on the Vita.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't mention the PS4 version of the system at all with that. But then they also had God of War teaser. Didn't happen.
No.
Uncharted teaser or a slice demo. There was, in fact,
a teaser.
And
it was basically, they said it's in game.
It's in game.
Again, we really can't tell anything about the game just by looking at that.
And then we got new Medium Molecule PS4 title. No, not really. Little Big Planet 3 is close, but not.
It's
close,
not them.
Not close enough. Then there was a new Sony Ben IP that didn't happen. We didn't see any of that. A new studio debut that happened with Entwined. It was one of the first games they showed.
Yep, they announced it. Came out the same day.
That's
there
it.
You go.
1 or 2 Vita titles, and we were thinking Gravity Rush 2 and Monster Hunter.
It turns out they more or less said, "Yeah, we're still making Sony supporting Sony of the Vita," and then that was the discussion. I think they more or less are moving away from retail entirely with the Vita and just going to go straight digital.
Yeah, and of course, they did have some games that were like Monster Hunter-esque, like Freedom Wars, but they really didn't have a lot of emphasis on Sony-published games on the PlayStation Vita anymore.
They said they announced that the PlayStation TV.
And I thought that the PS Vita TV was unlikely.
But I knew differently.
So it is coming out, so that was a complete...
it's no longer called Vita, so you were right about that.
So in a way, PS Vita TV didn't show, but PlayStation TV did.
So going on to that.
PlayStation Now, they did have some details, but not enough for me to consider it real details.
I'm concerned there's no concrete anything about this thing.
It's all closed beta.
Everything's changing up as they go. They're either afraid to make the hard decisions of what they need to do for it, or they don't know themselves what to do with it.
So then they got Project Beast, Beast Souls, or whatever we thought it was going to be. That became Bloodborne.
Yeah.
So that was there.
I wish that they actually showed off the gameplay trailer as opposed to
the teaser
one.
Yeah. And then we thought there was going to be exclusive deals with Destiny or new Assassin's Creed. Well, the former happened, definitely, with the bundle and extra content. Assassin's Creed didn't really have anything new to it.
I'm thinking that Ubisoft's more like, let's go to back off on exclusive stuff. Like, they made a whole game for the Vita.
Yeah.
I mean... That's how extreme they were last time.
We thought there was going to be more Square Enix discussion or exclusive Resident Evil, neither of which happened.
Now they did show off a brief bit of gameplay of Kingdom Hearts and like some montage. From Sony, but
not really.
Not enough to worth discussing though.
Yeah. And then the final thing was that the last Guardian moved to PS4. I guess that was like a bit of a pie in the sky sort of guess.
We all
there,
hoped that was going to happen,
but nothing of the sort.
And the fact that Sony is like, no, we didn't cancel it, but you're not saying anything about it. And it's been how many years?
Probably about
10.
We're getting close to 10.
It's downright despicable. They should just stop it and say, listen, I'm sorry, guys, we messed up.
Yeah. So meanwhile, the theme was about new. We got games, some now, some later.
Well, kind of. I mean, they have a lot of games. They did announce a lot of games, but not a lot on their games.
Yeah. Another thing we pointed out, they're very outward. They were very focused on the third-party partners and
powers.
And so and powers. Oh my gosh, that really destroyed.
They did a lot
the
more
momentum
stuff
that
that Microsoft did last year, like talking about like numbers and
They did
services and media content, and I felt that actually kind of dampened the whole mood.
I think it sucked a lot of the life at the end of the conference. Uncharted was a great way to end it, but that didn't excuse what they got through in the middle.
7 minutes.
Yeah. So the big guesses were a Crash Bandicoot game by me and a Sly Cooper game by you, neither of which happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Double failure.
Now they did talk about the new Ratchet and Clank game. Well, it's not Crash Bandicoot or Sly Cooper.
Okay, moving on to Nintendo. Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U was definitely there.
I don't know why with the otherwise.
We thought there was going to be more emphasis on the Wii U version and a 3DS launch date, which actually was exactly what happened.
Yeah, it is.
They did mention a lot of 3DS stuff, but it was definitely the Wii U version they wanted to emphasize.
Because they did the tournament and everything.
Yeah, and then they had Pokemon Art Academy and Art Academy Wii U, both of which were there, but they weren't really emphasized in their events. Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby definitely were there. Hyrule Warriors was a big push there.
Yes,
very
big.
significant.
It was actually a big push. I think it was Nintendo's like, this is the big hardcore game we want people to look at.
Well,
a little more than Bayonetta 2 was. Honestly.
I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of the release dates, this is their September release. This is their third quarter big release.
Yeah.
So that's why they're pushing it as big as they are, and then the fourth quarter is.
I think a new trailer comes out like every 2 weeks.
Every week almost.
With a new character, new moveset,
And then there's Bayonetta 2, as you mentioned, and we didn't even guess there would be Bayonetta 1 in there.
I was just thinking, people kept asking about it. I was thinking maybe down the road if it does well.
But this was great.
Great news for people who never played the first one.
Yeah.
And it's more content.
Yeah, then there's Wii Sports Club, which they the last 2 games just released in July, which turned out to be the case, but I think they announced it before E3 even happened. So
and even in the Treehouse event, it was literally the last game they talked about.
Yeah.
Because by then everything was wearing down. They're like, okay, guys, we're just going to finish it up with
we are legally obligated to talk to you about this game. Then X finally titled for 2015. There we go. It was in fact correct,
and I knew it was going to be Xenoblade.
Yeah, even though
come on, what did you think it was going to be? The gameplay trailer showed Xenoblade. It's Xenoblade.
Yeah. I just didn't want it to be, because it's not really a direct sequel or anything like that. Unless they're trying to hide
Unless
that
there's something happening.
Yoshi Yarn, possibly 2015. We were right.
Yep.
Yoshi's Woolly World, and that comes out next year. SMT Cross Fire Emblem is a no-show. We were right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Steam Strike Team Eliminating the Alien Menace, which is correct. That came out.
It was not what I expected at all.
It was definitely different from what I thought. I figured it was a 3DS game because of the fact that that Nintendo already announced so many Wii U games. It had to be a 3DS game, and I was right about that. I thought it may have actually had been Next Level Games' next project, and so I was a bit off kilter about where that was going. But yeah, that was a neat surprise when they announced it. Then Pokken Fighters.
Unfortunately, they didn't talk about it. I'm assuming that they're waiting until Ruby and Sapphire come out first.
I don't even think it's going to be that. I think that it's either a line of products we don't know yet, or it's going to be announced later in the year, or even next year.
Maybe it's a 3DS game and it utilizes the amiibos.
I have a feeling that they're going to have amiibo for this game, and that's probably one of the reasons why they're waiting for a while. Then we thought there was going to be some more HD remasters. Didn't happen.
Nope, not even a mention.
Not even a little bit. We new VC details, eShop indie montage. We did have Capcom announce about 20 games coming to the Virtual Console, which was nice. And we did see a montage right after their digital event that emphasized indie games, including Shovel Knight. And so that was nice to see. It wasn't exactly on their event, but it was right there.
It was there.
It was nice. Rhythm Heaven 3DS, we thought that was going to happen.
It didn't happen.
Not going to happen. Then NFP games, Smash Brothers Wii U, and another game. So I thought there was going to be, for Amiibo, there was going to be at least one other game that was specific to Amiibo. And it turns out there was 5 total.
Well, it turns out they're not specific.
They're not specific.
They're like, it's weird. I'm really confused in how the amiibos are going to work.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe that there was going to be a game that really utilized it, but I was
kind of hoping for that, honestly.
But it sounds like they're going to be making like special content that uses the amiibos in them. And honestly, I would really like to see Nintendo describe more than just Smash Brothers, because I want to see what the other 4 games have to do with it.
Because people are going to buy Smash Bros. And don't care about the amiibos unless they want to collect them from their shelves, like most people are going to do. But I think they need to see Amiibo used in a gameplay sense, where it actually affects the game.
Gameplay in a way that's more than just, here's a computer-controlled character.
Yeah.
So hopefully something like that. Then we have Legends out of Majora's Mask 3D. That did not happen.
Unfortunately.
And every time in an
And
interview...
during an interview, he said he felt bad for you and feels hopes up. But though recently there was a job posting for Grezzo saying we're working on a new legend. And people are saying that means that's
they're working on the new Legends.
Looking on Majora's Mask.
Yeah, and then you got Legends out of Wii U. They showed something.
They showed an open world, and he's really emphasizing the fact that it's open. You can go around things in different directions, and then he showed a giant robot attacking.
Yep, Legends out of Skyrim. There is no QL, which
You're
was right. I didn't expect.
It's too early for that.
I think that's going to be unveiled probably at the very end of the year. And then we have the new 3DS model, which did not happen.
Nope.
And I said it was unlike the 83. The big theme,
why did you put it there?
I don't know. The theme was Smash Brothers and Friends.
It was Smash Brothers, but Nintendo was nice enough to keep moving on. They didn't focus spend ever on Smash Brothers.
Of the digital event and even through Treehouse, Smash Bros. I think took about a solid third, if not a little bit more than a third of their focus. The other third was focused on Splatoon. I'd argue.
Yeah, Splatoon was their biggest
I think about a third was split between Splatoon and Hyrule Warriors, and the remaining third had everything else, which would be stuff like Hyrule Warriors. Would be stuff
More Hyrule
Warriors. No, like discussion about Amiibo, Miyamoto's games.
Toad's Captain Toad's
Captain
game,
Toad,
Yoshi.
So I think the biggest focus for Nintendo this E3 was definitely Smash Bros, followed by Splatoon, and then Zelda
Hyrule
Warriors, and then all those afterwards. Then our big guesses. Mine was a new Miyamoto IP. Not really a new Miyamoto IP, but really. I'd say I'd pass it because it's definitely a new Miyamoto focused project that may or may not be Star Fox.
It's Star Fox.
Well, at least the one. We don't know the other two, but they're probably Star Fox. And you said there would be a new Metroid.
I was just I always put it out there, you know, just for that one year when they actually say it's coming true.
And and after that we had said there'd be no Star Fox, no F-Zero, 1080 or Wave Race. Well, it turns out Star Fox was perhaps a little too preemptive. Star Fox was what
negates
negates my entire. So I'd argue maybe that's a good thing. Anyway, Nintendo's event was very focused towards the viewer as opposed to the people who were attending, which was nice for us, not so much for other people there.
If you were at the event, you played the games, and then everyone else at home was like,
we've watched the game for like about an hour.
You couldn't stop watching their stream. It was so entertaining.
So that was definitely Nintendo's best E3 in the last few years, I'd argue.
Yes, and even though they didn't have a conference, they definitely kept everyone's attention. Talking about them.
Yeah. And so with that, we go to the third parties in brief. So first, we said Konami was going to have minimal presence, Metal Gear Solid 5 being the only real game, which turned out to be the case.
Yes, they're putting all their eggs in one basket, really they are.
Yeah, and then with Sega, we said there was going to be Sonic Boom, Island Isolation, and no Yakuza or PlayStation Phantasy Star Online. That was correct.
Yeah, they're big push on Sonic Boom, though I heard mixed things on that, honestly.
Mixed is a good way to put it.
Mixed.
EA, we said it was going to be Mass Effect. Sports games, lots of those. More PopCap games, not really mentioned at all. Battlefield Hardline, that was
their big thing.
That was a big thing. Mirror's Edge 2, I thought there was going to be a trailer. There was not even the trailer. A big announcement at the end, also which turned out not to be the case. There was really no big announcement.
There wasn't any announcements from EA. This E3 was, here's a bunch of sports games, Battlefield Hardline, we'll catch you on the flip.
We'll catch you next year.
And it's like they had all these concepts. Like, they literally said, we're going to do things a little differently. As soon as they said that, you knew it wasn't going to be a weird
I think it was neat to see them try and get that through, but I don't think it was the right place.
I mean, they should have done what Konami did and say, okay, we're ready, 3 years our games, let's move on. No conference this year.
And there was a Star Wars game too, but once again, it was more teaser than anything. Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed, they'll show off more current gen than last gen. That's an understatement. They didn't show any of the previous generation game. And then The Crew was there in somewhat level. The Division was there. New UbiArt project.
Yeah,
but that wasn't really new.
They already was announced. It was pre-announced.
And there was not a new Rabbids game, despite what we thought. Bethesda, there was no Fallout 4, which was right. And there was a game called Battle Cry and The Evil Within. Yeah, they were there with those games.
Yeah.
And then they'd recently announced Doom. So there's that.
Yeah.
Then Warner Brothers, they had Mortal Kombat X, which was right
in 2 different conferences,
and Battle Arkham Knight. Essentially, those are their big games.
And I gotta say, they both look stellar.
Yep. Then we have from Activision, Call of Duty: Advanced Warfare, minimal Skylanders. There was barely any Skylanders discussion there.
I think because that's not their venue.
Yeah, and then finally Destiny.
I'm not saying there wasn't Skylanders there. It just wasn't like they wanted to push Call of Duty more.
Then there was Bandai Namco, which had One Piece games, Tales games, Pac-Man: The Ghostly Adventures 2. I think that's pretty much all I can say about it.
There you go.
Point.
That's it.
Capcom,
well, technically, they're working on Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
So they're kind of busy there.
So Capcom, we thought they were working on a Resident Evil game. Well, that didn't show.
Nope.
Darkstalkers didn't
Nope.
show. Dino Crisis didn't
No.
show. Deep Down, that didn't show, did it?
I don't know. What did Capcom bring?
They brought Monster Hunter Ultimate,
Okay.
the Phoenix Wright games,
Mm-hmm.
and
And all the announcements of the Virtual Console. I think Capcom was fairly weak this
Ultra
E3,
Ultra Street Fighter.
Okay.
Eh,
I don't think there was much else going for Capcom.
I might be missing a few things from Capcom, but
Correct this if we're
yeah.
wrong.
Square Enix had Final Fantasy 15. Oh, did they have Kingdom Hearts 3?
I don't think they have.
Did they have Triad Wars?
No.
Just Cause 3?
No, I don't think they did that. Either.
They had Bravely Second? No, they
No,
didn't.
they didn't.
Theater Rhythm. They had Theater Rhythm.
Yeah, Curtain Call.
Curtain Call. So they had Theater Rhythm, guys. No, they also had like teasers for other games from Eidos.
Yes.
And then I think they had like one other project that I can't remember.
No bells. Nothing.
Nothing's coming to mind really, and I'm going to regret it too because I'm going to turn it off and be like, "That's the game." Anyway, that covers everything. Really, when you look at it, a lot of game companies kind of didn't have anything to show.
It was well. That's what happens when you move into a new generation with really high end consoles.
Mhm.
It's that you spend all your time making the like one game, and then the game comes out, and you're like, "Okay, guys, what do we have this year? Oh, E3's coming up. We got nothing. Show them artwork."
Yeah.
And even Nintendo, the other games are coming out until next year.
Yeah.
But they do have a few games. There's games coming out that people are going to enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a problem. The problem is how long can we keep this up?
Yeah, and so when you look at the big picture, a lot of companies were talking about 2015 as like their next focus, almost like they're given like 2014's done. We know Call of Duty's coming out.
New Smash Bros.
New Smash Bros. Is going to fill that space. We know that Halo's getting a collection, and we know that that Destiny is coming out. So when you look at it from the whole perspective, also Grand Theft Auto 5.
We forgot that. That's a big thing.
When you look at it from that perspective, a lot of companies have kind of already written off the year. They already know what's coming out. The yearly sequels of Battlefield and Assassin's Creed are coming out.
And Call of Duty.
And Call of Duty.
Skylanders.
And Skylanders. So a lot of these companies already know what's coming out. And they're kind of going out. And so when it comes outside of those expected yearly games, there really wasn't a whole lot to say that wasn't coming out next year.
Well, that's one thing that we've noticed in the last few years. I think the last 4 years of the gaming industry is the top sellers for the year are the same 10 games, and they all come out in the holiday season. And for me, I think if you're a game company, you want to sell your game, and you know for a fact that the best-selling games are going to be those 10 at that time frame, you don't want your game then.
Yeah.
So everyone decided they can have the holiday.
They can take that.
Everyone's going to get their gift cards and the money they get from their grandparents, and they're going to spend it during the first quarter. So let's push all our games to the first quarter.
Yeah, so Christmas Part 2 is going to
It's become, back like 6 years ago, it wasn't as big. Now, that's definite. It's definitely that all the unique games and the new IPs and new interesting games that are different from the main 10, they're going to go there instead.
Yeah. So, in overall, the E3 was really good from some perspectives. There was a lot of Microsoft was much better than than last year. They pushed a lot of games. They had a lot of CG trailers. Sony was really good up until that one point
where they just kept like dragging.
And while Sony
and also its setup was really weird.
Yeah, and also while Sony didn't do a very good job of pushing its own IPs, it was doing well to talk about other games that were coming out for PS4. And I think in a way, Sony's presentation may have been one of the weaker of the bunch. Microsoft at least was trying to push as much as they could of everything they got. Sony seemed kind of laid back, kind of.
They got it easy. They're like, we're winning, and it's going to keep happening. It's perpetual. Yeah. It's just there's no way you can catch up.
And Nintendo, meanwhile, is more pushing about just, hey, you know what, those third parties, forget the third parties. Here's our games, and that was pretty much what they were getting at.
And they don't want them to say it to the third parties.
Yeah.
The fact is, third parties just left them.
Yeah, so they're kind of left with themselves making the push, and they did a really solid job convincing people that perhaps just Nintendo is fine. At least when you look at it from the games they gave.
Though I always worry that when you have such a great E3 with a large sum of games from Nintendo, the next year is not that good.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how next year goes. But as for 2014, it was pretty clear cut. It was a fun E3, and we totally look forward to next year. But right now, it's Time for us to wait.
Well, we have less. You know, we've waited this long to do the video. We just gotta keep waiting to do the next video.
Yeah, but by the time we do the next year's predictions video, it'll be next E3 already. So
Yeah. Well, that's usually what happens.
oh yeah, I guess that's how it goes. See you then, guys.